You know, a lot of people right now are asking questions about how many games Nebraska is going to win in 2023. That's a fair question. It's a fun question now that Matt Rhule is the official head coach and we see him putting his coaching staff together. We kind of know what direction the team is going to go. The question is not just, is it going to be better, but how much better? But I think a more fundamental question we should be talking about is, something a little bit bigger than that. I'm Don Collins. This is the Don Collins Show, and I want to talk with you about something which may be a forbidden question. Do you think that Trev Alberts is going to be seen as a failure or as the hero Nebraska needs right now to turn this thing around? Before we talk about Trev Alberts, I want to remind you that if you're not a subscriber to this channel, this is a great time to, you know what? You could be a hero in your own house. You know, Trev Alberts might be the hero of Nebraska, but you could be a hero in your own home by subscribing to this channel. And if you email me your mailing address, I'll send you something like this. This is a 2021 Casey Thompson autograph card, and I've got hundreds of current and former player autograph cards. If you will subscribe to this channel before 1,000 subscribers and email me your mailing address, I will send you one of those in the mail, one or two, some other cool Nebraska stuff. And if you look at the comment sections of my videos, you'll see people starting right now to leave comments about the cards they've already gotten. You know, it's oftentimes not what you hear, it's what you don't hear that's most important. In fact, I think maybe most of the time, it's not what's said, it's what's not said. In the case of Trev Alberts, I heard an interview with Adam Carricker yesterday where he said something at the very beginning about Scott Frost that was really obvious to me in what he didn't say. And I want to know if you can hear what I didn't hear, which is actually the thing which was the thing that was most important. Check this out.
When the decision was made to let go of Scott Frost and you're headed into that meeting with Coach Frost, what was that like for you?
Well, you know, those are, and I think I said it at that press conference at that time. I mean, those are just really hard days. And, you know, you certainly never sign up for leadership positions and look forward to times when you have to separate from folks, especially separate from folks like, you know, Scott, an alum and a decorated player, a lifelong Nebraskan.
Now, did you hear it? Did you hear the thing that you didn't hear that I wanted you to hear so that you and I knew that you heard the thing that didn't get said so we could agree on the thing that wasn't said that was the most important thing? Trev Alberts said that Scott Frost was an alum. He was a decorated player. He was a lifelong Nebraskan, but at no point did Trev Alberts talk about Scott Frost in any terms that were personal. It was all business. I think it goes a little bit deeper, not just to his relationship with Scott Frost, but I think that Trev Alberts was brought to Nebraska because Trev Alberts is a guy whose integrity is above reproach, and he's placing Nebraska first, his personal feelings second, third, fourth, 10th, somewhere way on down the line. You know, Trev Alberts has talked all the time about what he wants to see in a coach at Nebraska.
I think at the end of the day, there has to be accountability. When you run a professional organization that has high standards, accountability has to matter. And, you know, Scott and I talked about this very clearly. 16-31 obviously was not at a level that was acceptable to us.
He wants to see a guy with a certain kind of character, a guy that will build a certain kind of culture. He wants a coach at Nebraska who understands that nobody is bigger than the job here at Nebraska.
And this place will always be bigger than any one person.
And yet, if you look back over the last decade, we can name some ADs, and we can name some administrations, and we can name some coaches, which we won't do in this video, where fans were constantly talking about the AD or the coach and their myopia and their narcissism, and that was always at the expense of the team. In fact, I want to read you something. This is a comment which someone left in 2017. Nick in 2017 on Facebook says, if we're talking about making any moves, I think Eichhorst needs to go and be replaced with Trev Alberts or someone who's passionate about the program. I can't blame Riley for his performance. We knew who he was when Eichhorst hired him. Okay, this is important because I want you to remove Eichhorst and replace Eichhorst with Trev Alberts. And I want you to remove Trev Alberts from this comment and place it with some other AD yet unknown because Trev is in the job right now. And I want you to remove Mike Riley, not for Scott Frost, but change Mike Riley to Matt Rhule. So let's read it a different way. If we're talking about making any moves, I think Alberts needs to go and be replaced with someone else. Or someone who's passionate about this program. Or if you take the word passionate out, use some other word, knowledgeable or, knows what he's doing or whatever. I can't blame Rule for his performance. We knew who he was when Trev Alberts hired him. Now, it's important for me to stress this sort of alternate universe take on this quote, because somewhere down the road, say 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road, if Nebraska's in the same position, this comment that was meant for Eichhorst and Riley, you could make that same comment about Trev Alberts moving forward. And I'll tell you why I don't think we're going to have to make that comment. I think Trev Alberts was hired to bring Nebraska back to Nebraska. Nebraska values, Nebraska culture, Nebraska football at the expense of any one person. There's nobody above getting canned. I think Trev Alberts would say that even he himself, if he stood in the way of Nebraska's success, he should go. And this is where I want to debate with some of y'all who have said that, well, having a good guy on the staff doesn't matter if you're losing games. It does matter.
Great coaches are people of character. I think they're people managers. They're culture builders.
I taught my children that winning is not everything. I taught my kids that being a good man, being a man of integrity and authenticity, those are the most important things. See, if you've got a coach that's a good coach in terms of X's and O's, but he's a dirtbag, then you've got a culture that eventually will rot from the inside, and what you're winning now will turn into losses, bitter defeats later.
I certainly think it has to be somebody that has a servant leadership mentality, that's here to serve young people, that perhaps sees a picture bigger than themselves, if you will.
If you've got a stable of good men all on the same page, you can solve a lot of problems. Now listen, this is important. That might not be apparent in year number 1. It might not be apparent in year number 2 or even 3. But over the long term, the reason you see some coaches with 5, 10, 15, 20-year tenures and with some losing seasons along the way is because of who they are, because of their character. And Nebraska for a long time, and forgive me for saying this, I just got to be honest, Nebraska for a long time has been dead set on getting a coach that will win at any cost. And that cost has been the soul of Nebraska. That cost has been teams who are disillusioned and disheartened with the supposed leaders who aren't leaders.
And so the right kind of coach, I think, sees this as an opportunity to rebuild and build something special here.
But what Trev Alberts is putting in place is based on authenticity and integrity and a love of Nebraska and selling out not for a coach, not for a player, not even for himself, but selling out for the school and for you, the fans. That's what Trev Alberts is at Nebraska for.
We'll do the right things. We'll do the best that we can. Every decision we make here, whether it's right or wrong, we'll learn later, but they are always done with what we think is in the best long-term interest of the University of Nebraska and our athletic department.
It is a huge victory to have Trev Alberts at the head of this football program. Not just for 2023, but for the legacy he's going to leave behind as I know when I say this, some of y'all are going to lose your minds, as a latter-day Tom Osborne. But regardless of what Nebraska's win-loss record is in 2023, or even 2024, or 2025, they've already won with a man of integrity like Trev Alberts at the top, Matt Rule below him, and assistant coaches that even if on paper they have mediocre records, I'm telling you, the goodness, the authenticity, and the integrity they're bringing to Nebraska can turn this ship around.
We need to, get some clear definitions about what those coaching qualities look like. What is our unique culture need in terms of coaching, and ultimately, what is our culture going to be as a team?